Micheal Jackson is not dead. Micheal Jackson doesn't look anything the way he did. The slim Micheal Jackson, because they know that's what y'all like. The Micheal Jackson that y'all saw dancing with James Brown, that was a clone. They had to keep fixing on it because the clone was breaking down. He wasn't going into surgeries. See, clones also can't gain weight. So basically what they did, they had to keep doctoring on the clone of Micheal who was alive. The one that was dancing with Micheal, or the dance with James Brown, okay, that Micheal Jackson, that wasn't the real Micheal. When they cloned it, Micheal, that clones don't grow hair. So in other words, however they clone you, whatever you have, that's how you're going to come out. That's just how the clone produce. So in other words, if you're a person that have long hair, however they clone you, that's how the clone going to look. When they cloned Micheal Jackson, his hair was never attached, because the first Micheal Jackson that was cloned, his head was in a third to fourth degree burn in Pepsi commercial. He lost half his head. I mean, it wasn't gone, but it was it was very badly burned. Micheal Jackson looked like a monster. Okay, and he was still slim. So they cloned him while he was under the knife. And when they cloned him, they needed 2 years to remake him, because he didn't look nothing like Micheal Jackson. I don't know if y'all can peep game. So when they cloned him, they had to make him lighter and make up this skin disease, because his skin didn't look the same. His body, they changed everything about him. In the end, when Micheal was looking really, really bad, the clone body was breaking down, because clones don't think like humans. Clones have to have people around them to tell them what they do, because they get adolescence. They can't think properly. It's called handlers. Right? So when Micheal started to break down, his body was breaking down. His nose was artificial. I don't know if y'all noticed. Go back and Google Micheal Jackson nose. It looks like a robot, because it wasn't him. His whole head was a wig. It was a cap, because when they first cloned Micheal, he didn't have any hair. It all burnt off in the Pepsi commercial. They put Micheal in a capsule and cloned it. Brought him back 2 years as the clone, and Micheal Jackson was watching all of this like, I can't believe they're doing this. So what happened to Micheal? He just lived his life. Micheal Jackson is still alive. He's already appeared on TV, but y'all didn't even know who he was. Go back and watch the CNN of Larry King, the guy with the glasses, with the real bad burnt victim that played like Micheal Jackson saved him when he was a kid. That's Micheal Jackson. It burned him so bad it disfigured him. It tore up his skin. It did everything to him. You understand what I'm telling you? And also, after Micheal was cloned, the real Micheal Jackson, they bleached his skin so he would look nothing like Micheal. If you look at the dude who was on Larry King telling you about his childhood, how Micheal Jackson helped him, he looks just like Micheal. Just look at his eyes. That's Micheal Jackson. He's disfigured. That's how he looked when he got done with the Pepsi commercial.
Joining us now here in Los Angeles, Miko Brando, who was with us almost every night after this untimely passing, longtime Micheal Jackson friend attending the funeral, and Dave, yes, that's his name, Dave. He was David Rothenberg. He was set on fire in 1983, suffered, as you can see, terrible scars. Micheal Jackson befriended him and paid for a lot of his surgeries. Dave is also attending the burial. Why Dave?
Well, to liberate myself from the confines of my father's criminality.
He caused the fire?
Yeah. He is a criminal, and he caused all this. To free myself of his name and his legacy, I decided to become my own person through changing my name.
How did he find out about you, Dave?
He heard about me, and he had contacted me and wanted to meet me.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 7 years old at the time.
And were you in the hospital?
I was not in the hospital at the time. I was in interim back and forth from surgery.
And what did he do for you?
Well, basically, he befriended me. He took me into his life, which is very rare for Micheal to do. But he opened up his arms to me and accepted me as a very good friend of his. And throughout the years, he never let me go.
Were you surprised, Dave, to hear from him when you were 7?
Oh, it's a very interesting story, Larry. It was kind of, the visit to his Encino house was very impromptu, and it was kept a secret by my mother. And I had always been kind of a admirer of his, not a fan per se, but I always loved his music. And my mother surprised me one day and brought me up to Neverland. And I entered an arcade, and there were all these Paul McCartney records all over this, The Girl Is Mine, and, you know, this and that. And I remember sitting down, and at the time, my favorite video games, my favorite video game was Pole Position. And I was playing Pole Position, and I felt a little tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there was Micheal. And you know what, Larry?
What?
At that moment, we embraced, and that embrace never ended throughout our whole entire friendship.
Dave, what don't we know about him we should know?
Well, I believe what people fail to realize is that Micheal was a human being. Throughout the years, I think he was kind of stigmatized by the media, and I believe that wasn't really helpful to him or to anybody around him. I believe that Micheal was a great person. He has never hurt a soul, and I am happy to have been his friend for all these years and been a dedicated friend.